back and thank you for staying with News Diary. Now allow us to cross over to our sister station, that is the Spice FM, where they're having a conversation with the Honorable Martha Karua, who is a party leader of NAK Kenya. And it's all about the calls for dialogue and that formation of a broad-based government. Remember, Azimio affiliate parties, some of them said they do not want a dialogue. So this is all they're going to be discussing, dialogue and why exactly they're not boarding. Let's cross over and listen in.
Smart yield or the Britam money market. How much does the Britam smart yield earn you in terms of interest?
14%.
14, up to 14%.
Yeah, if you have 14.
Yeah. And the money market fund?
13.5%.
13.5%.
Yes.
Per annum.
Those interests are good, man.
Which one is short term and which one is long term?
The money market fund is short to medium term, and then the smart yield takes over medium to long term.
What is medium?
Medium, so short term they're talking about a year plus.
Okay.
Mid term they're talking about 3 to 5.
Okay.
And then long term is 5 upwards, 5 to 10.
Plus 5 upwards.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you start putting money into that fund and you're thinking about, you know,
Not a full time.
not all dialogue.
Yeah.
There's a specific one that you're not boarding.
Boarding, yes.
You are not boarding to a specific
yes,
one.
yes.
So, Martha, good morning.
Morning.
Good to have you here again.
I'm happy to be here.
Always a pleasure. When you posted this on your social media, the youth told you, Mama, ni sawa lakini sasa unajua tutakuwa kwa ndege tukienda. The most hilarious responses to tweets that I've seen.
Yeah.
Some were saying tutaambia pilot aeke 94.4 tukienda Spice tukienda. Others were saying sasa nikifika Russia nikutane na Putin and Lisa, who's your mother? And you're not on the flight. Nitawaambia mama yangu ni nani. And Martha is not on the flight. But welcome to the conversation. City will give you the day's proverb as usual.
Our proverbs from this week come from the Union of the Comoros. Where there are riches, thieves abound. If the riches are large, the thieves are big.
Where there are riches, thieves abound. If the riches are large, thieves are big. Interpretation, Martha?
What comes to my mind is our Kenyan situation. Our riches are big and the thieves are big. Yeah. So that's one way to see it. Yeah. And it could be anywhere else, but it fits our situation. Yeah.
City's proverbs this week are really provocative. Just tell Martha yesterday's proverb.
A slippery person is not a king.
That's how we started the week.
I think all those proverbs are for Kenya. Because we are dealing with very slippery characters. Yeah.
You know, City went to those islands, the Comoros. Huh?
Yeah.
The capital of the Comoros is Moroni.
Oh.
City is from Moroni.
Which can sound like moron.
But wait. All of them mixed up. Martha, do you think, you know, you've been in national leadership for decades now in this country, risen all the way to the very top. And now we are seeing a generation that's young, that was not even conceptualized when you went into politics the first time.
Yeah.
That is now here, they are adults, they're thinking, they are looking, they are reading, they are consuming information, and they're speaking.
And making sense.
And making a lot of sense.
Yes.
Do you think the leaders at national level, your compatriots, are understanding the message that's coming from the young people?
I think quite a number are tone deaf. Because the young people are very, very, they have clarity of mind. their asks are very clear, very precise. But those at the top think that they can meander and get away in a slippery manner. The demands are about accountability. They're about good governance. It's about implementing our constitution and the laws and running this country as a going concern, not as a personal fiefdom, and to benefit everyone, not a few. They want to live the dream of the contract Kenyans made for themselves, the constitution, the social contract. Yeah.
But you'd argue that those who are now in senior leadership were young ones, and they were going and pushing for the same.
I actually saw a clip of William Ruto insisting that the authorities were not going to stop coming to the airport, them coming to the airport. Today, he wants to stop people. It is surprising that to a person of my age, I'm approaching 67, when you see people who tell you they were not born in 92 when I entered parliament, they're talking sense, they have a vision of what this country should be, and that makes me realize that the time to give way to this generation to steer the affairs of the nation is here. We should listen to them. It doesn't mean that there will not be people of my age there, but it's time that we largely gave way, to these people. And remember, even old days and even today, who are recruited to the army, to the police to guard the country? It is not me. It's not my age mates. I cannot actually qualify to go for the recruitment. So similarly, it's not only for the jobs that need courage and whatever, even the jobs that need thinking. These people are at the best age to visualize what Kenya will be and to put it into effect. And they are largely not corrupted by the political environment. There are some of their age mates who are in parliament now and who are totally corrupted by the political environment. But the youth of the change movement today are youth who are sharp, who are patriotic, who have a clarity of mind, and who know what they want. I've heard some of them speaking on television shows, on Twitter Spaces, on many other places. And all I can say is, wow, we better not let this moment pass. This is a unique moment. Kenya has an opportunity to transform, and the transformation worldwide is never led by the older generation. The older generation, there can be one in leadership, 2, 3, but the real engine of revolutions is the youth. We better give way.
And even as we say that, at the moment, there's still this clamor and there's still the dialogues, one of which you said you're not bored in, where the older generation still feels as though they can be part of a broad-based government and that it is their position to hold. How do the two come into play when on one side we have, we have a youth bulge in the country and we see from the same mouths, they're saying, it's about time that things changed. It's not a question. They have to change because this is the country that we are going to live in for the next odd number of years. But we still have this agitation for the people who've been in power for the last 30 years, wanting to form part of this government that came about as a result of this protest.
What I think is that it is not right for people of my generation to attempt to hijack the youth movement that is asking for transparency and accountability, that is saying things are so wrong, we need to go back to the reset button. We can only be spoilers. And it is in this respect. Last year, you remember, as Azimio, we went to the streets. And a good chunk of Kenyans supported the movement. We were asking for cost of living as a number one. But we were asking also a political question, open the servers. We were called to dialogue. some of us reluctantly. Dialogue happened. We were arm twisted. We ended up getting nothing for the people. At the end of a whole 1 year, because the protests, the preparation for the protests began in January. At the end of the year, December, they told us, now we are ready. The only outcome was how to form a new IEBC. The laws have now been passed, but we never went to the streets because of IEBC. And the IEBC crisis was generated solely by Ruto, who sacked 4 commissioners because they said no to the tally that made him president, criminalizing dissent. So that was not our issue. The fact that we abandoned the people's issue, were arm twisted to accept something less, makes us totally unfit to lead any other dialogue, especially a dialogue initiated by the people with clarity of demands. These people are not asking for any one person to be installed. It's not about personalities. It's about issues. What I hear is about living our national values enshrined in Article 10. Everybody should have human dignity. We should obey the rule of law. People should participate meaningfully. And people of Kenya participated very robustly in looking at the Finance Bill 2023, overwhelmingly rejected it. And nobody can doubt that because the media polls were showing us it's totally rejected. What did Parliament do? What did the executive do? Completely ignore the people. And this is the second round because 2023 it was the same. But this time, our young people said enough is enough. They have pushed Ruto in a way he didn't think possible. And he thought by quickly saying he has dropped the finance bill, everything will be well. But even that is not an honest withdrawal of the bill. Look at the fuel levy. It's gone up from 18 to 25. So the bill is still active. The proposals of the bill are active. Look at the way they are trying to reallocate money after in the proposed, in the supplementary estimates. Look at where the cuts are. The cuts are the essential services, basic needs of the people, education, health, agriculture, while they are leaving their money almost intact. We had a State House, one of the people working in State House going to Parliament to demand 591 million for the employees of the office of the First Lady. William Ruto said he had dropped the offices of First Lady, Second Lady, and Mudavadi's spouse. So what is this we are seeing? It's taking people for a ride. So what I'm saying, when there is dialogue, you must set conditions for dialogue. Take, for instance, the 207 dialogue. There was violence. Both Kibaki and Raila called off their troops. Raila, the people who were mobilizing all over the country in the areas he had support, President Kibaki being in charge, getting the police to obey the law. That helps us to have cessation of violence. What is happening today? People, our youth are still getting murdered, abducted, excessive use of force, therefore disobeying the law even where the court says stop using tear gas, stop using poisoned water, stop using live bullets. They're still being used daily. So the conditions of dialogue, if he needed genuine dialogue, he would set the climate by doing all the things that do not require dialogue. Obey the rule of law. Cut out all unnecessary spending. Genuinely, do not lie to us while at night you continue doing the things, you know. Do not tell us that you've dropped 50% of advisors. We are telling you advisors would be members of cabinet. Do not select incompetent team, then you saddle us with advisors. He would be looking at that. He doesn't seem to be understanding what the demand is. And that's why he would rather deal with politicians whom he can arm twist. The Gen Zs are faceless. They are leaderless. He is not able to know whom to call.
And that's the frustration that he's expressing.
Yeah.
The president spoke on Sunday,
Yeah.
and he said, you know what, this movement that's faceless, leaderless, everything less, has demanded that I drop the finance bill. I did it.
Yeah.
They have demanded that I change the cabinet. I've done it. And now they're still talking more. I'm saying, can we then meet somewhere so I can understand what you're saying? I came to the Twitter space. They are not there. He's frustrated.
Yes, he expressed frustration, but let's look at what he said he did. He said he dropped the finance bill. Did he?
Yes.
He said he had dropped it, but did he?
Yes.
No, I have just shown that the fuel levy is active.
He wrote a
Office
memorandum.
of First Lady, you know.
He wrote a memorandum to the Speaker of the National Assembly, as is required to do. And the Speaker has acknowledged receipt of it.
Between him and the Speaker and the people of Kenya, we want to ask them who's fooling who. Our youth and the people of Kenya are not fooled. They can see life is continuing as before. He has his troops on the streets to abduct. You know, just only last week, a senior journalist was abducted in a most foul manner in a police station. We have so many children, not really children, youth. I'm calling them children as a mother. But we have so many people missing. You see, we have bodies being discovered in quarries. We have police abducting a young person from a university and dumping him in a quarry. I mean, this is not a climate for negotiations. Let him do those things that are clearly provided for in the Constitution. None of the Gen Z demands are not part of what our social contract is in the Constitution.
So it's all about good order.
Yeah.
Chapter 10 of the Constitution.
And our foundational values in Chapter 10, our preamble, which says the purpose of the Constitution is so that the state works for the benefit of the people of Kenya, not for a few. It's about Chapter 6 on leadership, on integrity. Which cabinet did he drop if he is returning, you know, the same old faces?
So it's possible. Essentially, what we're saying is that the time for dialogue or the time for discussion is not now, Martha.
No, it's
We're saying that there's certain things that need to be done and that can be done without you sitting around a table with a number of people, that you can do certain things right now, get those things off the table, and then let's even see if we can start to have like a discussion. Is that what we're saying? Get your house in order, essentially?
And the discussion would not be about him incorporating people in government. The discussion Kenyans would like to have with themselves, and he being a Kenyan, he can be taken to be part of it, is how to go back to the reset button. Because the way I see it, the people of Kenya exercising their power under Article 1 have actually recalled the executive. William Ruto and his regime stand recalled. They have recalled Parliament. They have no faith in it. And people don't seem to understand. This does not require signatures. Signatures are required when a few people initiate a recall. Then you need signatures, which then go to the IEBC, which also goes to court. But when the people are exercising their power directly, you don't go through any delegated institution. And you might ask, how may we know, therefore, that we have reached the threshold in numbers? Look at how people came out. 35 counties. And it could be more, but 35 are the ones the press was able to reach and amplify. It wasn't 2 or 3 people. It was multitudes, like you've never seen before. And I am sure even William Ruto actually acknowledged that he didn't withdraw the finance bill for fun. After chest thumping, this is a signal that he actually saw and understood.
Does this form the basis of why you decided that you're not boarding? Because they're members of your own coalition who it would seem as, at this point, are kind of clamoring for some of these positions today.
I've seen people are hungry to be in the gravy train. But what I'm saying is that NAC Kenya rejected the NADCO outcome. On the 7th of December, last year, we had a press conference. And even long before that, we internally were pushing for cost of living. And we had agreed as Azimio that cost of living, if not addressed, will be the deal breaker. So at what stage did we agree to sign off without cost of living? And you saw even the leader of yes, who was part of the negotiations refusing to sign. So you can see even up to that time, there was already push and pull. So there is no way we can be party to something that is going to actually water down the demands of the people. This country needs to go back to the reset button. Corruption has trebled. You can say we've always had that problem, but where we have reached is just insane.
They're eating the seed.
If you look at the Finance Bill 2024, and you look at the way the estimates are cast, you will see that the state has been repurposed to serve the political elite. You cannot be defunding education when you are increasing the funding of the political elite. You cannot defund health. And remember, our health is already in shambles because of the same corruption. The amount of money they are spending on travel, on hospitality, on offices of first, second, and if you allow me to call Madam Mudavadi's, Mr. Mudavadi's spouse, third lady, because he looks like he's number 3 in the Ruto pecking order. That amount is enough to cater for the clinical officers who has been out. It could also be, part of it could be applied for the JSS teachers. If you go to William Ruto's travel budget, acknowledged travel budget of 2023, the year that just ended, a whopping 18 billion.
At what?
18. And it's not on the budget. So they hide money in several places. The amount he used,
which is acknowledged is 18 billion.
Yeah, it's 18 billion. You know, globe trotting. Kibaki had very few trips, if you remember. Yet he was able to do wonders. Wouldn't we rather we created jobs locally instead of sending our people to be slaves elsewhere? And this regime is not even having any serious negotiations with the countries our people are going. There are no labor agreements. Why do we have to have 316 people dying in the Middle East? What are we doing about it? And so many others injured, so many others coming back minus their salaries with horror stories. You know, why can't we create? We are actually destroying jobs in Kenya when industries are closing, when SMEs are closing, because an SME can employ so many people, whether 2, 3, or 10. If so many are closing, we are destroying jobs. So what I'm saying, can we listen properly to what the Gen Z's frustration is and address it and stop sideshows? And to William Ruto, I'd like to tell him, it's a matter of time. You can't win this one. Kindly listen. Kindly listen to what the Gen Z are saying. Take it seriously and don't ask what can you do. Just look at that constitution you opposed and which you swore by. You swore to uphold and defend. Act in the manner the constitution guides you to.
Time for that break. 26 minutes to 9. Martha Karua, party leader of NARC Kenya. Of course, Raila Odinga's running mate in 2022, the Iron Lady of the Republic, is our guest. Why? She's saying no bonging, no boarding, everything.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.